What is good? What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Fares and Adelia. Welcome to another great episode of the Rally. It's back, baby. We gonna rally all night long. Today we are talking about the happiest slam. Well, this year may not have been the happiest slam after certain comments by certain players and certain media members, but we are talking about the happiest slam. It is the greatness down under. We are talking about the Australian Open. Magic and mundanity filled the tournament. One side of the tournament, we expected the winner, and the winner brought us the championship. The other side, someone not as expected. Someone who kind of
I don't think anybody but Jesse Pegula, and we'll get into this, expected Madison Keys to win the Australian Open this year. Very happy for Madison to finally win her maiden Grand Slam. Ryan's in the chat saying very happy for Madison to finally win her first Slam title. Well deserved. It was well deserved. She had a tough draw.
Yes, it is. You know what to do. Let's get right into it. Right. Yep. You know, we'll talk about the mundanity of the men's side because the winner we expected it, wanted. You know what I mean? You know,
yeah, kind of.
He defended his belt. He defended it.
Compared to the women's final, the men's final was boring.
It was very boring. So let's talk about the better final. Madison Keys jumped out to a 5-1 lead in the first set, just over 21 minutes. So it was like that. It was rapid. And I was like, yo, what is going on right now? She served for set at 5-2, but Sabalenka broke, and then Keys broke her to win 6-3. It's kind of reminiscent the way the one match everyone kept talking about during this match was their semifinal battle at the U.S. Open where Madison bagels Sabalenka in the first set. I know she didn't bagel her her in this set. She was up 5-1 though. Yeah. Where she bagels her in the first set at the U.S. Open, and then she ends up losing a crushing match. And I believe
she loses the next two sets in tie breaks.
Exactly.
Crushing.
But Sabalenka wins set number 2. We go to a third set. But Madison Keys said, not so fast, my friend.
Yeah.
This is not the same Madison Keys that you faced. And some of those shots Madison Keys had were here's the thing, more specifically, some of her return shots, Adelia, off of the first serve, I believe off of most of the first serve, off of Sabalenka were laser pinpoint precision to the far court, just amazing. She held shot to I don't want to, this is about Madison Keys. I want to shout out, Bjorn Santangelo, her coach.
Fran Tangelo. Yeah.
Someone called him Santangelo. I swear to God, someone called him Santangelo.
Well, someone screwed up then because his last name's Fratangelo.
Okay. Bjorn Frantangelo, American, by the way, of course, by the name. He's also Madison Keys' husband. He retired and decided I'm gonna just train you full time. I'm not giving him credit. But you got to give him a little bit of credit.
I think you do have to give him a little bit of credit. I don't think he needed a trophy in the trophy ceremony. We'll get to that.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, they gave him a trophy. And here's the thing. I think the Australian Open thought with Andy Murray as Djokovic's coach this year that there was going to be an opportunity to give Andy Murray an Australian Open trophy if Djokovic won. So they made trophies for the coaches this year. And so I was watching the trophy ceremony and I noticed Bjorn is like standing by the net in the back waiting to come up on stage. And I was like, why is Bjorn there? Like there's never coach there. Like I know the coaches are on the court this year and everything, but why was Bjorn there? And then they called him up and I think they said something to him and I think he may have declined to give a speech.
Good.
Which was very smart of him if that was the case. Because this was not his moment. This was Madison's moment.
Exactly.
He helped her get there, but this was Madison's moment.
Exactly. And you know what? Novak, we'll talk about what happened to Novak and why Novak couldn't have been in this moment. But you're going into set number 2, like we talked about it. Sabalenka got her rhythm back. Her first set serve percentage improved from 58% to 83%. You know what I mean? That's what happened. And then we keep going. She started hitting the drop shot more in the second set. Set 3 was just glorious.
Maddie had no answer to that drop shot in the second set.
No answer. It was go for broke tennis. The two battling back until Keys finally won the set 7-5 to win her first slam. Keys is the first woman to beat the world number 1 and 2 in a slam since Svetlana Kuznetsova at the 2009 French, and the first to do it in Melbourne since Serena Williams did it in 2005.
Yeah. As Ryan says here, both ladies said, my serve, my game in the third set. Great back and forth, one break point, all it took. And that's all it took. True.
That's all it took. Keys ranking moves up to number 7, tying her career high. Sabalenka stays world number 1 despite the loss. Some of the stats, like we said, break points, Keys won 4, Sabalenka won 3. Net points, like right, 13 out of 21 for Sabalenka, 6 out of 15 for Keys. Unforced errors, 31-33 in favor of Keys. Winners, dead even, 29-29. Aces, some of the aces by Mazzy. Going back to the match against Iga Swiatek, there's a little moment in the match against Iga Swiatek where she just beats Swiatek in a game. Swiatek takes her timeout, whatever, so she goes and gets right, and she comes back and she does them phantom swings. Swiatek did.
Yeah, the crowd booed her when she did that.
She did that, and then Keys, shout out to Madison Keys, shout out to her. She said, "Oh, that's cute," and she aces the very next point on Swiatek's head, and she kept that serve going into the final. And I'm just like, Adelia, I'm gonna be real with you, Adelia. I'm gonna be honest. You know when I knew I thought Maskeys could win the Australian Open?
When?
It was that moment right there where Swiatek did that thingy, and then she was like, ace. And I'm like, I think she can win this.
Yeah, we watched that match live very early in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we were both super excited for Maddie going up against Arena in the final. And she has, Maddie, and I think she will admit to this, and I think she did in the press conference, a reputation for when she gets to these big moments, mentally she's not there. And she said something afterwards when she talked to Chris Budden for ESPN that she said, I just realized I didn't need this anymore. This was not what was going to define my life. And not needing it the way that she did made her give her the clarity of mind in the moment to actually win it. And I'm so happy for her. Been a big fan of Madison's for a long time. She's had some heartbreaking losses. I mean, heartbreaking. And for her to finally get this slam, even if she never wins another one, like other people have started going on like, well, how many more can she win and stuff like that. She might never win another one, and it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter
because she's etched her legacy now in tennis history with this win, and she can win others. She absolutely can. But even if she doesn't, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, this brings me a comment about some stat Wawrinka said a couple of days ago, which it threw me off, where he was like, I don't like when people say there's a big 5. I'm like, one, Stan, nobody calls it a big 5. Okay, my guy.
No one ever.
No one's ever said that, Stan. Shout out to your confidence. I love you, but no one's ever said that.
That's just people trying to include him and Murray in the conversation. There was a big 4 for a while, and then it turned very quickly into a big 3.
Yeah,
so Stan was never part of that.
No, what I like about it, Stan's like, oh yeah, man, don't disrespect them. There's no such thing as a big 5. Stan, they're okay, but okay, good, but that never happened. But good job on you for pointing that out. But Stan's career, he has 3 Grand Slams, 3 or 4. 3 or 4?
3.
He has 3 Grand Slams to his name. There's an entire generation of players on the men's side who have nothing to their name because of 3 men who ruined their careers, basically. And on the women's side, Serena kind of, for 20 years, Serena kind of ruined a lot of people's
careers.
A lot of people's careers. So getting 1 is amazing, because I remember back in the day, and I think we were talking about this when we were in the Discord. By the way, the Discord's free to the public, so hit that link in the description. See what I did there? Me and you were talking about this in the Discord, where back in the day, women's tennis careers ended by 27 or 28, something like that. And Madison I think Madison's 27. I think
Madison is going to turn 30 in a couple of weeks.
See, 30. See, I thought it was, because I remember I brought up Monica Seles, and Monica says where she won all her majors before she was 23.
Yeah. It's
and
changed.
She won.
The game
it's
changed a lot.
Yeah. So, could the youngsters come in and win? Yeah, sure. But now the 23-year-olds, the Iga Swiatek's, the Sabalenkas, the Rabakinas, Coco Gauffs, they're still young, but they're not in their 30, but they're not winning tournaments anymore at 16, like Monica Seles was. Now
it's really rare to see someone that young go deep in a major
nowadays.
Because the players have matured and the game has matured, and like the stronger you are, like it's hard for those teenagers to be that strong. Like it's good if a teenager breaks into the top 100 now at that age, like 16. It's like they're not winning slams. Ryan with the point here. Marriage and family brings a whole new perspective in life. Tennis is just a sport. Yeah, Madison talked about that a lot in her post-match press conference. She talked about how she'd gone to therapy and how not sports psychologist, but an actual therapist to work through all of the things that she needed to work through, whatever they may be, to get to the point where she could have that mental clarity in the moment. And I'm just so happy for her. Howdy, Jay. Thanks for joining us.
Also, too, she's laughing at the pain because
that was the moment I knew she was going to win this. But no, let me say this before you talk about the press conference. The moment I knew Madison was going to win this, she wasn't going to like falter if she had that moment. There was no guarantee she was going to get the moment to win this at that point, is when she hit that insane overhand backhand volley that went on the crazy angle and drew Sabalenka all the way off court. Sabalenka got it back and Madison hit like a little forehand into the open court to win. And she just started laughing, like looking over at Bjorn and laughing. And I was like, she's not bothered.
No,
she's not tense. No. She's having fun. And Madison, you could never say that about Madison before in one of these, big moments. Her slam final against Sloane, she was frozen with nerves and anticipation and all of that and expectations on her to win this. And she didn't win that match. And so she was loose and she was laughing and she was having fun and she went out there and she won it.
Yeah, man. It was like, so like they're talking about, I think it was ahead of the final. It's like, so Madison, so your loss against Sloane, really? And then they talk about that, and then the second reporter said, "I'm sorry, Madison, but your loss against Sabalenka." And she's like, "Oh my God, guys, really? What are we doing?" She's like, "Really?" And she just started laughing, and I'm like, "Oh my God, she's a psychopath. She's gonna win."
She's not a psychopath.
You know what I mean? No,
Madison Keys is one of the nicest people on the tour.
No, she is. She is, and she's wonderful. But I'm talking about, sports wise, right? Right? Those people who smile, they're having fun, but when they play the sport, they rip your throat out, and they take you out. You know what I mean? That's what I mean, right? Like you're smiling, I just dropped 50 on you. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's what happens all the time. Those people are, I remember Kobe Bryant. He's a little woo in the head. One of his best friends was Tracy McGrady. He's, one shocked me that he had best friends in the league, which kind of threw me off. He found out Tracy had something wrong with his back. So in the game against the Orlando Magic, he gives Tracy a little shove in the back, and Tracy's like, "What?" in the middle of a game, so he could win the game. That's what he did. His friends were like, "Oh, that's not cool, dog." But it's the will to win,
Well,
and Madison Keys had that.
Yeah, Madison had that. Let's talk about this draw she had. She beat Danielle Collins, who was a top 10 player at the time.
Yep.
She beat Elena Rybakina in a fantastic match.
Yep.
She beat Elena Svitolina. She beat Iga Swiatek. She beat Sabalenka. Like, she beat the top players. She had the toughest draw, I think, to get to the final.
I think she beat 4 members of the top 10 and 5 members of the top 30, because I think Svitolina's
29, I think.
29.
So
29.
Yeah, like it was impressive what Madison did.
So it was a good all around performance by her. USA.
She was in the 2 best matches of the tournament back to back against Iga in the semifinals and against Arena in the final. And credit to Arena. She played exceptionally well in this tournament, trying to go for 3 Australian Opens in a row, which nobody's done since Martina Hingis.
Shout out to Martina Hingis.
She lost the match. She went over there. She shook Madison's hand. She was gracious. Then she went and smashed her racket. And she said in her post-match press conference, she had to do that so that she could give a pleasant speech at the end of it. She had to get that little burst of anger out. And you know what? A lot of people, I think, are like, she shouldn't have done that, but I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that. No, because it goes to the thing, Adelia. If she's just smiling, like, do you want someone to give a shit if they lose or not? And look, and his thing too, like, aren't you angry when you lose? You're angry when you lose. You should be.
You should be angry when you lose a Grand Slam final.
Exactly. So I have no problem with her. Like, people make fun of her, man, when she like smashes the racket and you know, and getting angry. And like, I remember where she smashes. Where like she waited and then, you know, she walked to the back and she smashes the racket in the back. You know how they have the cameras in the back. They see her smash the racket. People are like, she again smashed her. Like, I expect that from someone who just lost one of the most important matches of their life.
Yeah.
If I see her smiling, joking, having fun, I'm a little.
See, I'm okay with the joking she did in her speech where she told her team she doesn't want to see them for a week because this was their fault.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine because she got her burst of anger out. She broke the racket and then she was calmed down. I'm fine with that. Jay is saying Madison was on some Dirk Nowitzki type run. Absolutely.
Yes.
And Ryan saying, Collins, the biggest villain on WTA now. Hope her vacation paid for by the fans is fantastic. My new favorite player now. Danielle Collins definitely has an attitude on court that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I like Danielle Collins. I do. But
isn't this her last year?
Well, last year was supposed to be her last year, and then she showed up on the entry sheet for the United Cup and played the Australian Open. So nobody really knows for sure if she's can play this whole year, if she's playing till a certain moment or what, but she's still playing.
Okay, yeah, well. Yeah. Well, speaking of more Australian Open stuff, Adelia, what happened on the other side of the bracket?
We had Jannik Sinner winning his second straight Australian Open, beating Alexander Zverev in a match that I'm just going to say was clinical from Sinner. He needed 6 break points before finally converting to break at 4-3 in the first set. Then he won the set 6-3. Set 2 was on serve. Zverev saved another couple break points. At 5-6, Sinner serving. Sinner was down love 30, but erased the deficit with some clutch serving and then got to game point after a brilliant 21-shot rally. That was probably the point of the match. In the set 2 tiebreak, neither player consolidated their first mini break, but a timely net cord went Sinner's way, give him a 5-4 lead with the mini break, 2 serves on his racket. He served out this tiebreaker and won the second set. At that point, you pretty much knew it was over because Zverev looked like he was not putting up much of a fight whatsoever. Set 3, Sinner, routine service game after routine service game. He wore Zverev down to break his serve for 4-2, then shook off 2 deuce points to serve for 5-2. To hold for 5-2. Zverev then held his final service game and Sinner served it out. He won the match in straight sets, 6-3 in the third. Jannik Sinner didn't face a break point in this match, becoming the first man since Rafael Nadal at the 2017 US Open to not face a break point in a major final. He's also the first man to defend his maiden slam since Rafa at the 2005 and 2006 French Opens. He's won 10 consecutive matches against top 10 opponents. And he is in one heck of a groove, especially on hard courts. Zverev's now 0-3 in major finals. And the other 2 he actually had a chance in. This one he had no chance.
Yeah, because when I was watching this match, because I watched this match live, he was nervous. Sinner wins set number 1 easily, in my opinion. And then I think he unleashes the clip, which means he exalted all his energy in that second set, tried to win that second set. But then when he lost in the tiebreaker, he gave up in the third set. And he's like, I'm done. It
kind of feels that way, yeah.
Yeah, Jannik Sinner, you know, I don't want to say this, mentally broke Alexander Zverev in that second set. where it was a service game and they were just serving and serving and serving. And then Yannick, I think Yannick probably played that game that way. Sometimes, you want to, I think, I don't know if this is a fact. It's my theory. I think certain times, certain tennis players give up a game because, like, okay, I'm gonna give this game up. Come on, I'm gonna beat him down in the.
Oh yeah, they'll give up games to conserve energy for the next game or whatever.
Exactly, and I think Yannick he beat him down in the first set, and in the second set he basically kind of like said, "You can have your service games, and I'll have my service games, because I know for a fact I'm gonna beat you in the third set because I'm still gonna win in the service games because my service is better than yours." And that's what he did in the second set. He said, "I'm still better than you. I gave you games, and I'm still better than you." And that's what he did. And I feel like Zverev basically said, "I can't. I'm done." He's like, and that's what happened. He took him down. He took him out. Because in the third set, it just. I honestly turned it off at 4-2 because I knew who was going to win, and he won. Mm-hmm. I literally, that's what I did. I turned it off.
So Zverev, according to James Blake, who's sitting courtside on the ESPN broadcast, Zverev is a type 1 diabetic. He checks his blood sugar at every changeover. According to James Blake, he injected himself twice, probably with insulin during the match. He wasn't sure if Zverev was like feeling any effects from that or not. I never heard Zverev comment on that after the match, but what Zverev did say after the match was, "I have a good serve and I was serving better than him. He does everything else better than me." And you could see that because Zverev has a very consistent serve. If you look at the stats here, Zverev, 68% of his first serves in. He won 69% of those points. Sinner, 60% of his first serves in, won 84% of those points. Zverev could do nothing on the return whatsoever. Sinner, 2 of 10 on break points, which is not a break point conversion rate that you particularly like if you're Sinner, but when he faces 0 break points, you don't care because it means he goes home with the trophy and Alexander Zverev goes home empty-handed. Sinner's still the world number 1. Zverev's still the world number 2. That's the way it was going to be, even if Zverev had won this match. But yeah. There was also an incident in the trophy ceremony. I don't know if you heard about this, Fares, but there was a woman in the crowd.
Yes, I did.
Who yelled out support for one of Alexander Zverev's for both of Alexander Zverev's alleged victims of domestic abuse. And she left from her own accord after that and was questioned outside and asked to leave the premises. And she did so because she's contacted the tennis podcast and told them that. But she just wanted to show support for Olga and for Brenda. And my feelings on Alexander Zverev have been made very clear over the course of us doing the show. I don't like him. He can deny those allegations all he wants, but I don't like him.
Well, yeah, I can't really comment on anything else. That that's what happened. Pretty much.
Yeah, that interrupted the trophy ceremony briefly. After he spoke, I believe is when she called out. But yeah,
pretty much.
Jay here saying, "I don't care how dominant you are, you prove it." But I feel like saying it is just weird. But to each his own. Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but sure,
I don't really know what you're talking about there, Jay. Because
I think when you're talking about how Zverev said he has a better serve than him, it's like you can say that. But
technically, his serving stats were better than Sinner's in this match.
Yeah, but because if you survive the serve, that's how Djokovic won a lot of matches. Like he was the return king. He would survive people, so he would return it very well. Though he was, the way he would survive, Roger and Rafa's serves. That's how he beat them. Because when you survive that, you survive most of the match. But
Sinner won the winners' battle 32-25, and Sinner had 27 unforced errors to Zverev's 45. Zverev just could do nothing once the ball was in play.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, that was the men's final. I was listening to the Served podcast, Andy Roddick's podcast earlier today.
Shout out to you, Andy. Andy, man, you should be a guest on the podcast, Andy.
I mean, that'd be fun. He had Kim Kleisters on, and they were talking about the things. And Andy said he thinks the only person that can stop Jannik Sinner on a hard court right now is WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, because Jannik Sinner, we do have to point out, does have that case that WADA is appealing to the Court of Arbitration for Sport that's going to trial in April. I think it's ridiculous.
Well, they dropped their case against Iga Swiatek.
They're not bringing a case against Iga because they find Iga's excuse, if you will, plausible. They find Jannik's excuse not plausible, which is why they're taking Jannik to the Court of Arbitration.
Because I don't remember what was his excuse to do. Did he blame his coach? He blamed his coach.
His physio had some sort of reason to have this cream that had this banned substance in it on his hands, for some reason. And then when he was massaging Jannik, it got into Jannik's system through a cut on his leg. And the International Tennis Integrity Agency, which is the one that initially investigated this, bought Jannik's reason for this and said, we're not going to suspend you. It's like 1/1000th of a gram or something like that they found in his system, a trace amount of this substance. And WADA's like, we don't buy that, so we're going to appeal this to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and it's going to trial in April.
His physio, man, do your job, bro.
He fired the physio after this.
He fired him.
He fired the physio after this, yeah.
That's how
I believe he did anyways. I believe
that's how you save face. That's good. That's how you save face, because your physio is messing up. You're messing up your game right here, man. Because now, unfortunately for Jannik, he'll be known as the juice head. Unfortunately,
I don't think that I don't think it's fair to call him a juice head over 1/100000th of a gram.
Here's the thing. I agree with you, but
no, I agree. If he gets suspended for this, if they suspend the world #1 over this, then I think that's ridiculous. Personally,
yeah, because if he's saying the physio had cream on his hands, pause. That's wild. Whatever he had on his hands, and he was massaging Jannik, and Jannik had a cut, and he got in the cut. It's possible.
It's the only way that they just figured that this substance entered his body, because he didn't do it, according to him.
Yeah.
And if you were going to be doping, you'd have more than 1/100000th of a gram of something in your system.
Yeah. It goes to the John Jones incident, where John Jones had like a picogram, which is like basically the same thing Jannik has. And people deduce like, oh yeah, the reason he has a picogram is John Jones did cocaine. And sometimes cocaine is laced or like cut with certain, illegal substances that are, on WADA or WADA or VADA or whatever the hell, the USDA, what are those called? The government, the drug agencies on the list. And John Jones has made it very clear he did do a lot of cocaine as he grew up, when he was like John Jones, and it infused within his muscles. And so I believe Jannik, it's possible. It's possible because
here's my thing. I don't understand why anyone in his position would dope. You are the top of the tennis world.
Yeah, they asked Barry Bonds that question to Adelia, and guess what Barry Bonds said? He stuck a needle in his ass. So it happens, okay? It happens.
I know it happens.
Yeah.
But I just can't, knowing Jannik as I do from watching him since the teenager that showed up on tour, I just don't believe that he'd do it.
Yeah, honestly, I think, my thing is we regular humans take drugs that are on the banned list.
Yeah.
Because of medicine and stuff like that. And we take it all the time. I don't feel like I can go serve 150 miles an hour after I take some cough syrup. You know what I mean? Like, that's, it's, because, because you need like Lance Armstrong drugs. You know what I mean? To really change the game. You need like whatever Barry Bonds put in his body to change the game. Like, go, Adelia, like, remember when we were in the Discord. By the way, join the Discord. It's free for everybody. We were talking about Emma Raducanu and how she was bitten by ants, fire ants in Australia. And they said, we have this spray, we can spray and we can bring down the swelling. And she told them, no, don't spray that on me. I don't know what's in that. That could be on the banned list. So she had to play tennis with an ankle swell and a wrist swell because the ants bit her ankle and her wrist. And she had to play, and she had to like basically play with like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Jay, we don't call him that anymore, Jay. It's peak angle. We don't call him that. Respect his wishes. It's peak angle, not perk angle anymore. Peak. Shout out to you, Kurt Angle. I respect you, dog. By the way, speaking of Kurt Angle, John Bernthal, his son-in-law. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
No, wait. He's an in-law. Okay, I don't know. He's not a son-in-law because all of Kurt's daughters are under the age of 25. That'd be kind of weird if John Bernthal was married to any of them.
Grandfather now.
He is, but he also has daughters.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, let's move on.
We also have some other notes of certain results of the Australian Open that really caught our eyes. American 18-year-old or 19-year-old, 19-year-old Lerner Tien is a name that we can only read in draws before, but we definitely now know who he is now. 19-year-old American upset Daniil Medvedev in the second round on his way to making the fourth round as a qualifier. His ranking is now 80 in the world. Other American, Tien's good friend Alex Mickelson. I watched his match against Alex Diminor, the Demon. Highly disappointed in him, by the way. The way he just kind of.
It was an overwhelming occasion for somebody who's not used to it.
Yeah. He did beat Stefanos Tsitsipas and Karen Khachanov in the first and third rounds before failing to Aussie Alex Diminor in the fourth round. Mickelson is now the 36th ranked player in the world. Adelia, what else did we learn at the Australian Open?
18-year-old Brazilian João Fonseca is another one to keep an eye on. This kid came out and beat Andrei Rublev in straight sets in the opening round before falling to eventual quarterfinalist Lorenzo Sonego in the second. He's cracked the top 100 as a result. He's 99 now. He's 18, and he only has up to go from here.
Mm-hmm.
Real good. 22-year-old German Eva Lees caught her eye too. She lost in the final round of qualifying to Destiny Aeva and stayed behind on the off chance that she might be a lucky loser. Her father, who is her coach, got on a plane home to Germany, and then she got the lucky loser spot. Fares, would you like to tell us how she found out about the lucky loser spot?
Yes. I was watching Daria Kazakina's vlog of the Australian Open. Shout out to you, Daria. You and your wonderful partner. So she's talking to Daria. She tells Daria, I lost. And I can, but I'm gonna stay here for a day because lucky loser, I could get it. So she tells Daria, okay, I'll see you in a bit. I'm gonna go to the physio and get a massage. And then as she's getting a massage, she gets a call from Donna. Shout out to you, Donna. Yo, shout out to Donna. Donna says, hey, you can be the lucky loser if you hurry up and go to the steward's office right now. You got like 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes. And Daria, Eva Lees is on the table, let's just say in her birthday suit being massaged. So she's scrambling and she finally gets everything, and she runs to the steward's office. She has to sign a paper and to say that she's the lucky loser, and she's rushing and she's grabbing everything. She then rushes to Donna, and Donna's like, calm down, girl. You got 5 minutes. You're fine. She's like, what? Why'd you tell me this beforehand? She freaked out. No warm up, no nothing. She walks out into court, wins the match. Just like that.
She didn't just win her first round match. She won 3 matches to set up a fourth round match with Iga Swiatek, which she was overwhelmed by Iga, to say the least. Iga was overwhelming a lot of people in this tournament. Very one-sided match for Iga, but Ivelisse was very excited when she won that game that she did win in that match. Congratulations to her on a fantastic tournament. She's now ranked inside the top 100 at a career high 91.
Yeah.
And fantastic tournament for Alina Svitolina and Gael Monfils.
Shout out to the couples.
Yeah. They went out there on the same day, on the same court, MCA, I will not say the full name of that court, and beat their world number 4 opponents. They were both playing the world number 4. Alina beat Jasmine Paolini. Gael beat Taylor Fritz. Both of them winning in the 3rd round. Fantastic. Svitolina then fell to eventual champion Madison Keys in the quarters, while Monfils had to retire against Ben Shelton in the 4th round. Gael is 38 years old now, and to see him turn back the clock and show what a great player that he has always been was fantastic. And the send-off he got from the Melbourne crowd that isn't sure that he's going to be back playing there next year was great. He's only the 2nd man to reach the final 16 in Melbourne at age 38 or older since 1988. Roger Federer did it in 2020. And he won the warm-up tournament in Auckland before the Australian Open. So when he did that, he became the oldest man to lift an ATP trophy since Ken Rosewall in 1977. Congratulations to Gael for a fantastic down under run. And Alina as well.
Phenomenal. And man, big fan of them. Big fan of them. He looked 38 against Ben Shelton. He couldn't move.
He did look 38. He was exhausted by the time he got to that match with Ben Shelton.
The way he was walking, Adelia, it felt like his legs were like there was no bend to his legs. The way he was walking.
He still won a set in that match.
Yeah, he still won a set too. And I didn't know what happened. Speaking of retirements that threw me off in the middle of the match, what happened with Djokovic too? Let's talk about what happened to Djokovic in the semifinal. In the semifinal, after one set, tiebreaker set actually, they go to the tiebreak. Zverev wins the first set, and I was like, okay, cool. He wins the first set, whatsoever, and then
Djokovic doesn't hesitate. He just walks around the net and shakes hands.
And he's like, I'm done. And I mean, I think I did. We were watching. Me and you were watching this together.
We were watching together. And you were also playing your game. And I was concentrating more on the match. And I was like, it's over. And you were like, what?
Yeah, that threw me off. All right. You don't have to out me like that, okay? I just point that out. That's not cool. All right. That's not cool. But yes, I was also playing a video game as I was watching the match. And then when you said
I
was
doing
over,
other things too.
I was also watching the match too. I just didn't know it was over.
I know. I said I was doing other things too.
Yes. Yeah. When you said it's over, and I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean it's over? And I see the graphic, the final. Like when ESPN, when they do like it's over, the over graphic. They do the over graphic. I'm like, oh my god, it's over. And I see him pack up his stuff and he's walking. I was like, what just happened? Apparently, he tore a slight tear in his hamstring.
I don't know that we could call that a slight tear. It looked pretty deep on the MRI.
Okay, then it was a tear.
Put out.
It was a tear in the hamstring, and
he sustained the injury in the first set of his quarterfinal against Carlos Alcaraz. Managed to gut out the rest of that match on some painkillers. Got a couple of days treatment before the semifinal because he was on the half of the draw. They got 2 days before the semifinals, and then tried to play the semifinal. And he played the first set, and he just realized, I cannot go anymore. He said it was getting worse. He was booed off the court by some of the crowd, not all of the crowd, but some of the crowd, which prompted Zverev to do something classy. And I will admit that that this was classy from him, to tell the crowd, don't do that. He is injured. He would only have retired from this match if he couldn't continue. And that's the truth. I believe that because Novak's played with other injuries before to win down under. Djokovic's press conference afterwards was interesting. He acknowledged that it was a possibility that he had played his last Australian Open, which I didn't think they would get him to admit. It sounds like he wants to be back, but he said, you never know. I could change the schedule for next year. He said that he wasn't sure if his coaching arrangement with Andy Murray would continue because they hadn't had that conversation yet. And like I said, he eventually posted the MRI of his injury for all the quote unquote experts to see. If it is a deep hamstring tear, which is what it looks like and what the ESPN commentators were saying it looks like, it's possible we might not see Djokovic back on court until the clay court season.
Yep. Speaking of ESPN broadcasters, it was announced during the tournament that this will be Darren Cahill's last year coaching Yonex Center, as he plans to retire from full-time coaching after this season, spend more time with his family. So we may see him a lot on the ESPN broadcast, but not coaching. So shout out to you, Darren Cahill, went out a champion, winning your home slam with your player is a big congratulations to you, Darren. Shout out to you, my guy. Big thumbs up.
Love Darren Cahill. His analysis is always great on ESPN.
Yeah. But like I said early on, I talked about how this was the happy slam, or this year it wasn't so happy.
No, for some people it was not happy.
Some people were not so happy. Ben Shelton, shout out to you, Ben Shelton. That's my guy. Shout out to Ben Shelton, the future of U.S. males tennis. Made comments after his quarterfinal match against Lorenzo Sonego about the treatment of players by broadcasters of the tournament. He said, "I've been a little bit shocked this week with how players have been treated by the broadcasters. I don't think a guy who mocked Novak, I don't think that was just a single event. I've noticed it with different people and not just myself. I noticed it with Lerner Tien in one of his matches. I think when he beat Medvedev, his post-match interview, I thought it was kind of embarrassing and disrespectful. That interview, there were some comments that were made to me in post-match interviews about by a couple of different guys, whether it was, hey, Monfils is old enough to be your dad. Maybe he is your dad." Most notable example, like Shelton cited, was the Novak Djokovic and the Australian presenter, Tony Jones, during an on-air broadcast amid a crowd of Djokovic fans who were chanting his name. Jones mocked him and the fans by chanting Djokovic is overrated and a has-been. Djokovic said after his fourth match victory over Yuri Lehechka that he boycotted his on-court post-match interview in the wake of Jones's actions and the lack of apology from the host broadcasters, Channel 9. Jones and the network issued apologies to Djokovic later that were said to be acknowledged by him but not accepted. Shelton also referenced the situation after his win by Sonego, in which the on-court interview said he would likely not have much support from the crowd if he were to face Alex de Minaur, who is of course Australian. Even though Shelton seemed to laugh off the question in the moment, he said during the press conference he didn't think it was a respectful thing to say. Shelton said, "I feel like broadcasters should help us grow our sport and help these athletes who are just won matches on the biggest stage enjoy one of their biggest moments. I feel like there's just been a lot of negativity. I think there's something that needs to be changed." Adelia, a lot was said by Ben Shelton. Agree to disagree on certain comments. Agree with everything he said. Where are we at right here?
I mean, he's right. Like, that's just, the tennis media can be brutal in press conferences. He's not necessarily talking as much about the press conferences, though. He's talking about the on-court, you have just won, put your stuff down, come over and talk to somebody so the crowd in the court can hear what you have to say after this big match. And yeah, I heard the guy that asked Ben Shelton if, maybe Monfils is your dad. What kind of comment is that? Like, that's highly disrespectful to say to Ben Shelton, whose father, Brian, is sitting right there as his coach. Like, I understand that, like, they're trying to make a joke about Monfils is the old man on tour, but, like, that's not cool at all. And I missed what happened in the Lerner Tien one, but I saw the clip of Tony Jones mocking Djokovic, and I'm not the biggest Novak Djokovic fan in the world. I think we've established that on this show. But no, you don't do that. Like, there is a crowd. He's up on a platform, Tony Jones, and the crowd of Serbians down below, like the Fountain Plaza set in the US Open that ESPN has, where they're up there, but the crowd's down here. It was like that. And the Serbians are chanting Djokovic's name, and he turns around and he acts like he's chanting along with them, but instead he's saying Djokovic is a has-been, Djokovic is overrated. Like, it's not cool. And I'm glad they finally apologized to him. I understand why he just acknowledged the apologies and didn't say they were accepted, because it was way too late by the time they apologized to him. And yeah, like I think that took place on Saturday, the declining of talking to Jim Courier after his 4th round match, and they didn't apologize until Monday.
Wow, man. They disrespect Jim Courier. Why gotta do Jim like that? I like Jim.
Well, Jim works for the host broadcaster down in Australia. He's Joe Novak said after his press conference after that, he was like, "It's nothing against Jim. I'm just wasn't going to talk to anyone who works for the host broadcaster tonight."
Wait, Jim works for Channel 9?
Yeah, Jim works for Channel 9 down during the Australian Open.
What?
Yeah.
So ESPN got Brad Gilbert and Darren Cahill.
Yes.
You can't hire Jim?
No, because Jim works for other networks broadcasting it.
That's wild, man. You know, give me a Courier over a McEnroe. Come on, man.
I mean, I would agree with that. Jim Courier is very good at commentary.
Love Jim Courier. Shout out to my guy Jim. Jim's a gangster, man. I want to talk about Jim. I always go back to Love Means Zero. Is that the documentary? I think. Love Means Zero, the Nick Balotelli documentary, where there's a segment for Jim Courier, where Jim Courier is interviewed. Andre Agassi isn't interviewed in the documentary because Agassi's like he hates Nick Balotelli. They don't like each other anymore. Well, Nick loved him. He still liked him, but Andre hated him. Which to each his own. Where Jim basically said, "Yeah, it was very clear. Nick didn't want me anymore. He wanted Andre, so I had to go out there and destroy his star student." And Jim Courier took that French Open away from Andre Agassi because he was, shout out to you, Jim. Jim, you should come on the podcast, Jim. Shout out to you, my guy. I'm inviting everybody on the podcast.
You are.
But that'll be awesome.
Jay saying, "Who knew tennis was so brutal afterwards?"
Oh, it's Jay.
It is. Yeah. Jay also saying those are fighting words like tennis racket to the knee retaliation. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Again, I understand about the Monfils, like where he said he talked about how they talked about he may not have a lot of support against Alex. Like he's right.
He's right, but that's not a thing to say in the post-match interview.
Yeah, you should really post-match interview. You really should be talking about him, the guy who just won.
There's also a way to broach the fact that the crowd will most likely be in favor of your opponent.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, "I don't think you'll have any support. How do you feel about that?"
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. No, Ben's right. I believe that. Ben's correct, and like I said, we're not big Novak Djokovic fans on the podcast. But we're not big fans, he's done some things where I'm like, but Tony Jones is an idiot.
He is.
He's an imbecile. He's being recorded. Rule 1, Adelia, of broadcasting. Rule motherfucking 1. Pardon my French. Always operate that you're always being videotaped or recorded. You're literally wearing audio equipment and cameras are in your face. Always. The mic is always hot. That's the rule. The mic is always hot. That's the rule. The mic is always hot and the light's always red. Like the red light's on. That's rule number 1 in everything. In live sports production, live production, period. Mics are always hot, cameras are always on, and they're always rolling. So move accordingly. This just shows just blatant stupidity by Tony Jones.
I think this was live on television.
Yeah.
I don't think this was like something they caught on a hot mic. I think this was literally live on Australian television.
No, because he says after he mocks them, "Oh, they're never gonna hear me." You're fucking live. You doofus. You're an idiot.
He is an idiot, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I also think it's also a cultural thing because I feel like Australians are always making jokes all the time. They're always making jokes, and sometimes I ain't trying to hear no damn joke after I just beat Gael Monfils. I'm tired. I ain't trying to hear that nonsense. Time and place. And Jay, back to you, man. Speaking of how brutal press is in tennis, there are certain players who don't go to press conferences because they know they're going to be ripped to shreds.
Yep.
I think Arina Sabalenka couldn't handle it one year, and she just sent them questions. She sent them answers to the questions they submitted. She's like, I'm not doing it.
Some players will just take the fine. Like, they get fined if they don't go to press. And so they'll just take the fine. Naomi Osaka did that one year at the French Open. She just was like, I'm announcing at the beginning of this tournament, I'm not doing press conferences. I'll take the fines. Because she couldn't handle the, questioning from the media because it was so brutal at that moment for her.
Yeah, because one thing, here's the thing about it, right? Because Jay, me, and you, we're all big American football fans, right?
Yeah.
And most of the American football media, they're local guys. They're local, the local beat reporters and some national people here and there. When you're playing tennis, it's every top reporter from every country that loves tennis. And that could be over 100. That could be over 100 reporters.
Especially at a Grand Slam.
Especially at a Grand Slam, where there could be over 200 reporters. Thank God they don't do scrums. They do press conferences, not scrums. A scrum is what NFL people do, Adelia. You know what I mean?
Where yeah, like media day.
No.
But those are scrums at the media day.
Oh yeah. But like, imagine 200
like in the locker room, yeah.
Yeah, in the locker room where they're standing at their locker and there's like about 10 to 15 reporters just surrounding Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or whoever in the locker room. Imagine 200 people just swarming around you.
The tours do things like that for the print media. I don't think they film them though. I don't think they put cameras in their faces and stuff.
No,
but I know they definitely do things like that prior to a tournament, not during the tournament.
Yeah. So yeah, brutal.
They are brutal.
And then imagine, you have certain countries, certain cultural aspects don't like certain players from certain countries and their cultural aspects. I mean, like, imagine a reporter from Serbia has to talk about someone from Croatia. And someone from, someone from, like that. And then,
It sounds like a recipe for anxiety attack. And it has caused anxiety attacks for players, I'm sure. Also, keep in mind that they have to do these press conferences in English. And then if they speak other languages, they have to do them in those other languages as well.
Yeah.
If there's media there from them.
Imagine, I remember, shout out to Daria Kazakina's vlog. Most of it's in English. She talks about most of it. She has Russian subtitles. Russian? I think she's Russian.
Russian. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's Russian.
You see the Russian subtitles, and then when they switch to Russian, when she's talking to Mira Andreeva, they switch to English subtitles. You could see English is not, it's hard, man. It's a hard language, and a lot of them, people act like, oh, they're very boring, but they're so focused on speaking English, so they're monotoned and they're trying to just get to the points of the English. There's no inflection, but then when they speak in their natural language, you could hear the inflection and the joking and the sadness and all that stuff. They're speaking English. They're like, I played very well. I was sad that I lost. I will be back stronger. You know what I mean? It's something like that. I'm not saying that's how they talk, but it's kind of similar to that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, right? That's pretty much it.
That's it.
Yeah. Our next
We'll be back.
We'll be back
for our next major. We're only covering the majors on this show now because we just don't have enough time to cover more than that. But the next major, maybe
a special Indian Wells, maybe.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because I'll be gone for a lot of that.
Yeah. We're also doing Madrid. I'm kidding.
First, you don't even know where to watch Madrid, do you?
It's on the tennis channel.
It is on tennis channel, yeah.
Yeah. Don't do me like
that. The French Open this year will be on TNT and Max.
Yeah.
It will not be on tennis channel, so it should be easier for both of us to watch. So yeah, we'll be back in early June.
Spend on that? How much they spend on that? Like what? Like almost $1 billion or something?
Spent a lot. I don't think it was almost $1 billion, but it was a lot.
They could Turner, Warner Brothers, which is
Warner Brothers. Yeah.
They get the entire French Open?
They get the entire French Open. It's not on NBC. It's not split between NBC and Tennis Channel. It's all on TNT other Turner networks, I'm sure, maybe have other courts or something.
Probably True
and
TV
Max. Yeah.
Max. Oh, you think Max is gonna do what ESPN Plus did, where like they have court cameras and like different court feeds?
Oh
and
yeah.
all that?
Oh yeah.
It has to just
It
copy,
has to.
because ESPN owns the rights to the other 3 Grand Slams. They still have. Funny fact, again, me and Adelia were in the Discord talking. Join the Discord, guys. It's free to the public. Just hit that link in that description. ESPN and the Australian Open have the longest sports broadcasting partnership, non-interrupted, in the history of sports broadcasting.
Yep.
I think it literally started. ESPN started in the 80s, 1980, I think, or 70, 78 or something like that. And literally in like, I think 83 or 84, they got the Australian Open. And they've had it since the mid-80s.
They've had it the whole time, yeah.
Yeah. So
I pulled up the press release. It says, I think what we're probably going to be getting is the Eurosport coverage on TNT, because they have the Eurosport has coverage of Roland Garros too. So featured live matches on TNT with additional live coverage across TBS and True TV. True TV with all-day studio match and whip-around coverage. All live matches available on Max. Nearly 900 matches across all competitions, including simulcast of matches airing on TNT, TBS, and True TV. And then in-depth highlights, behind the scenes, and ancillary content airing across all platforms. TNT, TBS, True TV, Max, Bleacher Report, House of Highlights, and Highlight Her. It's going to be much better coverage.
Hope so. So they're just basically taking the Eurosport feed and just.
I have a feeling it's going. I can't imagine they're going to produce a separate feed just for the US when they have all the Eurosport people already there. That's my guess.
So what does ESPN do with the other majors?
ESPN broadcasted here.
Yeah, I know. So ESPN has the ESPN feed with McEnroe and Mary Jo and them.
Yeah, and then they have the world feed on ESPN Plus.
Yeah. So why can't they do that where they have their like a singular match, like they have their own Chris Fowler and the McEnroes?
They might, but like I think what they'll probably do is they'll want the Eurosport people to do it, because then they don't have to pay for 2 productions.
That's a good point. But don't they? Yeah, because don't they also own TNT Sports? Isn't that BT Sports now? So what's the point of having BT Sports over there?
Well, TNT Sports. Well, TNT Sports over there is what they call it in England. In Europe, it's Eurosport.
Okay.
I think I could be wrong about that. But let's get out of here before we break down this anymore.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Appreciate Ryan and Jay in the chat. Jay, I hope you become a tennis fan, man. It's a cool sport, man. It's a cool sport to watch. It's it does destroy your time because you don't know when it's going to end. It depends on the player,
especially at a slam.
Especially at a slam, because they go five sets for men.
5 sets for the men.
And best of 3 for women, like they do for everything. You could have a player like Ash Barty who ends matches in less than an hour, or you could have Andy Murray who decides to go for 7 hours. Depending on who you watch.
The nearly 7-hour match was Djokovic and Nadal, but
that too. But I was making okay. All right.
There we go. Jay says he watches here and there.
Yeah. Well, Americans used to dominate world tennis. We used to have the best players of all time. Shout to the GOAT, Pete Sampras, and his great eyebrows.
He's not the GOAT.
You know what, Adelia? Let me still dream about Pete Sampras being at least.
You can dream about Pete Sampras all you want.
I don't dream about Pete Sampras. I'm kidding. He was the gold standard, though. He was.
He was. We've got 3 American men in the top 13 right now.
Yep, and they've done absolutely nothing. So I honestly don't care.
Hey, Taylor Fritz has done more than most.
Yeah, well, you know what? At Taylor Fritz's age, Pete Sampras had like 3 majors. So I don't really care.
I know, but like you got to consider the difference in competition, Fares.
Well, Adelia, the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse are retiring. So I expect
2 of them are already retired.
Yeah, 2 of them are already retired. One of them is literally just just staring at the door, just waiting to walk through. We all want him to walk through, but he's like, I don't want to walk through, but he's gonna walk through one day. But yeah, I'm sorry. When my introduction to tennis is how Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras and Jim Courier and then the Williams sisters, you know what I mean? When they're on top of tennis, I have a standard of American tennis. I have a standard, and that standard is win majors. You're talking about, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, like, I love Roger.
Here's the thing, Fares. The rest of the world caught up.
Well, you know, okay, but we should have continued. What happened? I think somewhere in the development, because here's the thing: when you say the world caught up, Adelia, the world didn't catch up. The world came to America to catch up. You know what I mean?
Not all of them.
No, you're right. Good point. Not all of them. You know, that's a good point. You know,
4 American women in the top 10 on the WGA
and one of them,
side.
Yeah, and two of them have majors to their names. Coco Madison.
Coco and Madison. Jessie Bullets made a major final.
Yeah, major final.
Emma Navarro, major semifinalist. So they're in a good position.
You know, speaking of Pete Sampras, by the way, he
Jay says each well Fares or well Adelia is like a mellow jab step before y'all pull for 3.
Fun fact: we're you know, only one of us here loves Carmelo Anthony.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, the other one loved him to death, and then he, like, you know, ripped their heart out. But the other one, you know, stay mellow. That's all I gotta say. On that note, everyone, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Shout out to you, Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi. I still haven't forgiven you, Andre Agassi, for toying for me my entire life. I can't believe that was a hairpiece. That's true.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
He lied to me, Adelia. I thought it was a real mullet. But he lied to me. And you know what, Andre, you should come on this podcast. You should come on this podcast and defend yourself. Andre Agassi. Why not? I'm just trying to get him on the podcast.
Don't think he'll do that.
Come on the podcast or defend himself from lying to me about the mullet.
Either.
That's a good point. Or he may do that. Bring Steffi as well. You and Steffi.
Oh God, Fares.
Why? I'm just trying to get people on the show, Adelia. I want to talk to Steffi Graf about her golden slam year. That'd be amazing. But on that note, everyone,
please.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.